Record. Hello, everyone. I'm Annie Gray, she, they pronouns, and the district coordinator with the Center for Teaching and Learning Excellence. We at CTLE, that's Sam Erickson and Jenny Sasser and I, would like to welcome you to a day of learning and conversation. As I look at the screen, I see so many faces, familiar faces. Thank you for supporting the programming here at CTLE. I wanted to know how many of you are here for the Anderson Conference for the first time? Show of hands, do we have a few? I can see with mine. Sam, do you see a few out there? Oh yeah, I see. Wonderful. Thank you and welcome. And I hope that you will continue to engage with the Center for Teaching and Learning Excellence. Some housekeeping announcements. Please keep your mics muted during the presentation. Please use the chat feature to share your thoughts and questions for Adam. We will have time for Q&A at the end. Sam will be curating the questions leading to the Q&A. So it is my honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Adam A. Smith. Adam is a first-generation college graduate and a nationally recognized higher education expert with 3 decades of experience transforming campuses nationwide. He serves as the executive director for University Academic Advising at the University of Kentucky, where his work has helped the university achieve record-setting retention rates. He has had similar results in his roles at the University of Alabama and the University of Akron. He served as the founding director of the TRIO Upward Bound program at Rock Valley College and later as the Dean of Students. He has taught undergraduate and graduate-led courses at Judson University in Elgin, Illinois. Adam hosts the podcast, Get Uncomfortable. Join me in welcoming Adam Smith.
Hey, y'all, it's great to be here. Thank you for your time. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. All right, okay. We've had some tech issues. My wife works from home on Fridays, so she's graciously left the house because she was on Zoom too, right? So the realities of our new world. I'm gonna just check if I can share screen. What I want to do is check the sound and make sure that's working okay, because we're going to have a little bit of sound today, I'm hoping, if I can get this to work. So let me go back to Zoom and to you, and y'all just let me know if this sounds okay, and then we'll get on with all the business.
Yes.
In time of need. Good. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So thank you all so much for your time today, for sharing space. Wanted to first and foremost thank Annie for, I think Annie and I have become best friends, connecting, talking, chatting, talking about the amazing work of the Center of Teaching and Learning Excellence, and the things that the center provides for the entire campus community there at PCC. So wanted to thank them, Annie, you in particular, for just sharing community and you and I getting to know each other and really walking through some of the things we're going to talk about today. So wanted to first level set by quickly doing this quick land acknowledgement. I think we're going to do some things beyond just acknowledging the land that I think are really, really important, but wanted to be mindful of that. We acknowledge that the state of Oregon is the traditional and ancestral home of the Multnomah, Calumet, Chickamas, Tumwater, Watala bands of the Chinook, and the Talushan, Kalapia, and other indigenous nations of the Columbia River. I am currently on the lands of the Shawnee and the Osage people in Kentucky. Without them, we would not have access to this gathering and to do this dialogue. We take this opportunity to thank and honor the original caretakers of this land. We also honor our ancestors, all of our ancestors, and the narratives of the peoples and their knowledge who have empowered us to be here in community today. Land back is not just a phrase, but we must act upon it through reparations, legislation, solidarity, and practice by redistributing power, wealth, and in action through meaningful relationship building and coalition led by the people most impacted at the center. Our histories are complicated, tangled, and filled with resilience of our ancestors from before and yet to come. We want to imagine spaces and places where we are all liberated, transformed, and in solidarity together in struggle, magic, hope, love, imagination, and futures. I recognize the immense power and privilege we all hold in sharing our time together today. Thank you all for making space for that. One of the things that I love to do when I give talks, I think we're really going to focus on assets today. So one of the biggest assets is this virtual world, to share community and not be bound by space or place for people around the world, right? One of the things I love to do, and one of the asks I make in the tradition of the Black church, is that we pass the plate and we lift up some local organizations that are doing amazing, amazing work there in Portland. So one of those is the PCC Legal Resource Center, free legal clinic in PCC Cascade in North Portland, providing legal services to Oregonians. You all can read the amazing work they do. Their website is here. Y'all are in front of your computers or your phones. So make sure to take down, if you're not connected with the PCC Legal Resource Center, please make sure to do that. It isn't just about your treasure, it's your time and your talent as well. So they are an organization that your colleagues in the Center for Teaching and Learning Excellence feel are doing some amazing work. I'm sure you all do too, that are familiar with, as well as Sisters of the Road. Sisters of the Road exists to support low-income and houseless individuals through charitable and educational programs, including in providing affordable and healthy, delicious meals in a space that welcomes all to dine with dignity. Here is the website, sistersoftheroad.org. Please make sure to put that in your phones, save them in your favorites. I'm sure they have a Cash App if you want to give them a couple dollars, but time, talent, treasure, lift them up in your social media places as well. And finally, the final organization is the Community for Positive Aging. The Community for Positive Aging is a nonprofit age-positive hub that offers a multitude of no-cost donation-based services, a devoted team enhanced by peer-run programs and resources that empower you to learn, connect, and grow. Amazing work there in Portland, in your very own communities. It's great to share community. It's also really, really important to lean in together and support each other and the organizations that support Oregonians and support people around the world. So these are some organizations that were identified by your leadership team that put this together. Please make sure to share them, lift them up, share them with others, give your time, talents, and treasure. And in your meditation, prayer space, whatever it is, make sure to lift up those organizations as well. All right, so we're going to get to it, Ms. Annie. We're good? We can see everything? Okay, let me know if we have any issues with tech, because Kentucky, it's sunny today. Y'all, I see sun for y'all too. So it's sunny and about 55, so not bad. One of the things, all of us, whether we are faculty, whether our staff, we are educational professionals, we spend so much time on other people. The one thing that I got from Annie and from the team is that y'all are being tasked with so much. All of us in higher ed, be more, be more, be more. This time today, Annie said I have 30 minutes. I have a theology degree, so let me set my timer. Sure, 30 minutes. More like 60, right, Miss Annie? So 30 minutes is what I have, and then we're gonna do some Q&A and we're gonna do some connecting. This is not something you're gonna sit and listen to me like I'm Joy Reid, okay? So we're gonna interact and we're gonna use this platform in a different modality, as you all do as educators, not just to connect with each other, but to make connection and purpose. This is not time that is about your students or your family. This is about you, okay? That's what I'm dedicated to doing today, is connecting with you personally and professionally. And in doing so, of course, it's going to impact your practice, right? It's going to impact your pedagogy. It's going to impact those relationships in your life. But this is about you this time today. So this is your time, not only your time as individuals and professionals and people and humans, but this is your time as a community, okay? We've got about 90 people here today. That community that is PCC, this is also your time, right? So this saying where, we've all gotten on an airplane, and I try to pay attention-ish, right? But the flight attendants come on and they do the little thing and they say, you know what? We may lose cabin pressure, and they have the example of the mask, right? And they always say, if we lose pressure, these masks are going to fall from the ceiling. And when they do, put the mask on yourself first before caring for others. And that's really what we're going to try to have as our through line today, is how do we put the mask on ourselves? Not just ourselves individually, but ourselves as a community, ourselves as educators, ourselves as caring, loving folks in the work, right? How do we do that? People hear that all the time, self-care, self-well-being, but then you're constantly tasked with more. We have more students, we have different students, we have different things in our families, and our institutions tout, not only are we students first, but we care about our people. And oftentimes, in quiet spaces, excuse my French, we all say, bullshit, show me. Because all you're showing me is that you're standing on me for more. So we have to model this. We have to claim this through coalition and justice building. So one of the pieces I want to talk about, and I want you all to think about, is pressure. Okay? So as you're thinking, right now, we're all sitting in spaces all over the place. I want you to think about what pressures you. What are your current pressures? And we're going to give you 5 minutes to write down what pressures you, what pressures you're currently facing, walking through, okay? We're going to play a little music. This is what I was planning to play, but the tech difficulties are going to give you something a little more spiritual. So 5 minutes to write down your pressures. Everybody ready? Okay. In my hour of doubt, in my sin and shame, Lord, your grace still abounds. You stand here with me. You wait patiently. I know who you are. Hope reveals you, Yahweh. Show your glory today. You are great in love, rich in mercy. You are great in love, rich in mercy. You are great in love, rich in mercy. You own. Surely your goodness, your loving kindness will follow me always, will follow me always. I'm so undeserving, but still you come running, oh, with love so amazing, yeah, with love so amazing.
In your sight we pray. Let your light reveal, God of mercy and grace. Will you show?
Adam, we don't hear the music anymore.
Adam, you are muted.
You're muted.
Always, I'm so undeserving, oh, but still you come running. Yes, you do, Lord, with love so amazing, with love so amazing, surely, and surely your goodness, oh Lord, your loving kindness, oh, will follow me always. Yes, it will, Lord, will follow me always. So undeserving, Lord, so undeserving, oh Lord, but still you come run.
All right, y'all. So put in the chat what you wrote down. What pressures you? So what pressures are you facing? Thanks, Amanda, for the music coming back. I think my big thumb hit something. So throw in the chat anything that you felt that you wrote down about your pressures. Oh, classroom size, resources, too many students, not enough time. Shoot, paying bills? Stop it. Accommodations, I love it. My mom's house, committee work, finding balance. Oh, right. Oh, the hamster wheel. Will the technology, thank you, Greg. The climate crisis, yes. I got 4 grandbabies, so get you thinking even more about all the things. I love that. Administrative. Ooh, politics. Ah, yes. Ah, traffic issues. I like it. National injustice, climate. Y'all, those are, I mean, is there any of the things that anyone wrote that everyone doesn't say yes and amen to, right? Yes and amen. Amen's just yes, right? Agree. Managing time, top-down changes, right? People put work things, life things. One of the things I noticed back when I started in this work, because I started in AmeriCorps. Anybody know AmeriCorps, National Service? So I did national service in the first AmeriCorps cohort, and then like so many started working in the nonprofit spaces and enjoyed it, loved it, and then got into higher ed because I had a wife and my kids, and the realities were that nonprofit work just wasn't cutting it, right? Waiting to cash your check until the board chair says it's okay, or my daughter and my wife going to the doctor and health insurance premiums weren't paid. So I started working in TRIO, began as an upward bound director in higher ed. And just walking through those changes in our work has been such a challenge, right? But thinking about at the time, because this has always been a calling, right? I have a theology degree. So I've done this work as a lowercase ministry now for, 25 years. And the part of it for me that I struggled with for so long is what was wrong with my colleagues? Our students have these deep, rich lives. They have all these things going on. School isn't that important. Like the number one theory that matters is Maslow, right? I mean, if you don't have safety and security and water and shelter, it don't matter if you have books. It doesn't, all the theory and research doesn't matter because that, and what I learned in this season of my life is that I need to have the safe talk, the same self-talk and the same grace to my colleagues that I want my colleagues to have to our students. Because everything you all are sharing, yes, it has to do with work, but so many people shared things that have to do with life. And I think we forget that about each other, right? Like, Sam, what the heck are you thinking? You're not focused on these students. Well, no, my mom's sick. No, I'm struggling getting to work. No, I don't have enough money to pay my bills. No, this crazy that's going on, and we have an election coming up where we could basically lose everything, right? We've gotten to a point that people are saying things that I think people thought, but now they just feel safe saying them. In this space where love has just become a commodity, right? So all of these pressures are so very real that y'all are facing. One of the, okay, move. So I always talk about things like Cookie Monster. So I was a latchkey kid. Any latchkey kids in the group? Some of you young people don't know what a latchkey kid is. It's basically, I think I still have a scar around my neck from the chain that attached to the key to my house. And my mom, single mom, would go to work and I would come home from school by myself, unlock the door, latchkey. And this guy and Fred Rogers raised me, basically, right? More Grover, because I was more of a Grover and Ernie guy than Cookie Monster. But when you think about it, people just want more. More. Cookie Monster can't even get all the dang cookies in his mouth. It's just more, right? I want all the cookies. I call it Cookie Monster negotiation. Somebody's talking about the stress of administration, right? My whole job is political, which means relationships. And I can't even eat all the cookies, but I want them. And I don't give a shit if all the cookies are, half of them are going on the ground. So how do we balance pressure and take care of ourselves when everyone and everything in our lives just want more? And we're called to be everything to everyone. PCC has lost 30,000 students in the last 10 years. And there's more demand on you all as faculty to be administrators and to be advisors, and more on our administrative service folks and our educational professionals, advisors, and all of the folks that are kind of carrying the load. When I got into this work, people used to say, Adam, we're a community college. We're not a social service agency. We're just here to provide education. I'd be like, please, right? But now we know PCC is providing more to the students and to all of the people who are served by the institution, work at the institution, than you can get in Portland. You can't get access to mental health care unless you're a member of the community, right? So we have to be everything, not just to our colleagues and our students, but then we have to be everything. We got to come home and be present to our families. I used to, and I still feel like sometimes when I go home from work, that I've been picked at by birds. There's just nothing left. I've just been consumed, right? So we're called to be everything to everyone. So in this idea of being more, what I want y'all to do is think about in the chat, for whom, right? All people want are these cookies. They just want more, they want more, they want more. Throw in the chat who you feel like, to whom you're expected to be more for. Throw that in the chat. Work, yes. Oh, my elderly mother, my parents, right? Kids, friends, students, goodness gracious, right? Gretchen's, I always say, But students are like the feeding of the 5,000. If you do the work at a high quality level, you just keep pulling loaves and fishes. But if you aren't taking care of you and each other, right? My own needs and helping others and carrying the burden, my family and my students, stepkids, husbands, grandkids, people just want more of you, right? And is there anything left for you is the question. You know, kids, God help us. I got 3 and they're grown, okay? And my pastor one day said, kids have whiff of love. What's in it for me? You know, we love you if we get what we need, right? And it doesn't matter if they're 30 or they're 13, I'm telling you. So our students have really, really pivoted, right? We used to call certain populations non-traditional, right? If you had a child or you've been in the military or you've been out of school for more than 5 years, you are a non-traditional student. But what's happening is the non-traditional population is becoming the new traditional population, right? Predominantly first generation, predominantly BIPOC, people of color, predominantly people who have been in the military. They've walked through stuff. And the reality is the days of the, you know, even the place I work at the University of Kentucky, we have went from blue blood of blue blood, the school that brown people didn't go to in the Commonwealth, to now a school that is growing so significantly in our students of color that our success, record-setting retention and graduation rates and all of the things are strictly because we are serving our students of color in a very different way. And the truth is, the birth dearth is the cliff we're all dealing with. Because we have all faced a world war greater than any wars in the history of this world combined, and it ain't stopping. So as you all look at the enrollment being down, the keys is how do we carry load together? And how do we also focus on our assets and our strengths? Every day, not every day, at least once a week, the dean of our College of Social Work and I argue about advising being case management. And in its essence, I think case management as a human in the middle as the case, and case management is about team, right? And helping people attain small goals that get them to large outcomes, right? And so that's where the asset that you all have is each other, right? And you have students who are an asset. We all look at them as broken. Obviously, they're not. But what often happens, one of my students, and has happened for decades, is our institutions tend to hold us hostage with them. So they say to the faculty, well, who's going to do it? And they may not say it, but it's almost like because you have dedicated yourself to this work that is transforming lives and transforming a nation, right? It's almost like, well, just sit back and, well, Annie's got to do it, right? And oftentimes that work isn't codified, it isn't recognized, it isn't compensated. Shout out, I hear y'all got a new contract in the past week. Huge deal, right? But it's almost like feeling like you're held hostage because if you don't love on them, serve them, support them, care about them, who will, right? That's where those challenges come in. And it is devastating. Yes? Sam, can you hear me all right? Good, okay. So those are the pieces that I think we also need to focus on, is not allowing ourselves to be held hostage or have the institutions or have our colleagues say, well, but then who's going to help them if you don't take on extra teaching assignment and you don't do this and you don't do this committee and you don't help here and you don't advise these students on the side and you don't. At some point, you have to put the mask on you first, because we can't all run on the red all the time. So one of the pieces, shout out to Don Staley, right, we wanted to talk about is coaching differently, right? And before Carol Dweck talked about growth mindset, Paul wrote about growth mindset in Romans and said all things work for the good, right?
That they remain connected, that are monitoring the lives of the flock, that are monitoring them, making sure that they remain.
There she is. Okay. So Paul talked about it as well. But we have to teach and coach students different. I was talking to a group of 400 K-12 educators similar to this all around the country. And we were talking about how this generation has been affected by things that we've never seen. I'm a kid of the 80s, right? The things that these young people have witnessed are catastrophic. And it's intruding on their phone. Like if you've ever seen the movie Get Out, and they force him to sit and look at things, and his eyes are just watering, right? It's forcing them to do it, and it's had this huge impact. And so we were talking about the differences in students that aren't, to me, a generation. To me, that I call them post-war students, right? Or ongoing war at times. Because they've seen George Floyd murdered up close and personal. All of us 80s, 90s kids, we had to turn the station to look at Rodney King. And then we could turn away. When I listened for the first time to Straight Outta Compton with NWA, I literally thought I was going to hell. Like, what is this? But they've seen things that the minds of 8, 9, 10, 12, 20-year-olds shouldn't see. And it's going to impact them in a developmental way. And those things intruded. Like they couldn't prepare to see it because you look on your phone, or you're scrolling the Snap Face, or you look on the Instagram, and here's George Floyd screaming for his mother. Here are people trying to take over our country and kill people. Here are all these things happening which scare me, and I'm 50, right? So in this presentation, once I did my usual thing, we did a Q&A, and somebody took themselves off of mute, and they said, what do I tell my colleagues that say they can get over it? We got over things. They got to get over it and toughen up. My answer, first and foremost, just because somebody's a jerk and insensitive to you, you don't be insensitive and a jerk to them. And two, as an old head, holy mackerel, the impact this has had on my 50-year-old brain. And so finally, it was, how dare you? How dare anybody say that? They didn't do anything. So the traditional age kids, they did nothing. This world burning, for all of us talking about the politics and all the things in the government and all that, we forget that we are those things. This crap was created by our action or our inaction. That's it. It has nothing to do with them. And so then to say they're broken or they need to get over it, when we sat back, Dr. King talks about our generation will not be remembered by the horrific acts of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Just sitting back. We want to get back to normal. It's never been normal. 74 million people are going to vote again for a person whose 100% campaign thing is racism, hate, divisiveness, women don't have control over their bodies, assault people, do whatever you want. We have to deal with that. That has nothing to do with them. They're not broken. They are the strongest group of young people I have ever seen. I was marveling to some students about them yesterday. I have never seen young people like this. The kind of things that would have me in the fetal position in the corner just crying, they are still effing here. Shout out to our Indigenous brothers and sisters. So we have to look at, matter of fact, let's go back to that. I want people to throw in the chat, take a second, and put assets that you see in your students. What are some of their strengths? What are some of the things that you're like, ooh, they really have some assets? Put assets in the chat that you think that you've seen from them. Time management, Carrie, really good. Resilience, kindness, ooh, they support each other. Empathy, right? They're empathetic. Creativity, they can juggle, yes, right? Heather, perfect. Acceptance. They're aware of everything. They're motivative. They can solve problems. Ooh, even when they've lost their home, they're doing assignments, right? Because when everything shut down, they stood outside Dunkin' Donuts on their laptops when they didn't have Wi-Fi, right? Emotional intelligence, optimism, resilience, quick to learn. One of the interesting things, I teach an FYS course every semester. It's the only thing I insist on doing. And, I live in Kentucky, okay? Y'all know Kentucky, all right? I'm from Minneapolis, a little different. And so people say, well, how is that? Do you talk about this and talk? Yeah. Well, politically, your state is creating legislation against this, this, and this. Yeah, they are. But that has nothing to do with me loving students. So just to the points that y'all are making, my class, I had one student of color, everyone else, all the rest of my students were white, interesting this semester. And we were teaching students how to send emails, like basic, right? So we were teaching them, all right, this is how you send emails. And the first task was creating a signature line. Anybody ever done that? Teach students how to create a signature line, because it says to faculty, I want to be here. It says to staff, I want to be here. I'm a professional, right? So they all created their signature line. And one of the key parts of it was, I said, now we're putting in our pronouns. And I said, now, no matter what anybody says at home or people tell you about pronouns or political, pronouns are about respect. I know people named Sam who are a she and a they and a him. It is about giving people the respect to be who they are, period. And you could see, were we talking about empathy, compassion, critical thinking, you could see these Kentucky students, where 80% of them are from our state, that politics are very different than certain parts of Oregon, right? And you could see their lights come on and say, no, that makes sense, Adam. You deserve to be called whatever you want to be called. That's not a political thing. That's a love thing. Just like Happy Holidays isn't an attack on Christmas. It's a space making, recognizing that Elizabeth may not celebrate Christmas, right? What are some of the barriers, societally, institutionally, that these students are facing? Put in the chat some barriers, some challenges that they haven't put in place, but society or the institution has put in place. Housing, good one. Food insecurity, huge. Y'all remember when we started in this work, we would never have food pantries at Institute. We have food pantries, we have housing, mental health support, income inequality, a new admissions part of policy and childcare, inflation, yeah. Access to mental and physical health, cost of living, right? So those barriers are real for them. Hoops to jump through. I call those hoops spider webs, right? Has anybody ever walked in a basement or in a garage and they didn't see the spider web until it enveloped their, not my hair, but their hair, and then all you could do is want to get the spider web to go away. Those are the institutional systemic things that envelop our students, right? So one of the ways to get through this is coalition building. Y'all know this movie? I'm maybe the only one that's old that knows Do the Right Thing. Bill Nunn passed away last year, Radio Raheem. Your work is not your life. So I'm going to give you lessons from an old guy. Because this is my calling, y'all can feel that I am passionate about this work with students and people in people's lives. I gave so much, but honestly, I'll be honest, this shit ain't healthy. So I had to find other ways to use my passion. This is one of those ways. The University of Kentucky, if I give, it's like Superman, right? Superman can't walk around being Superman all the time because he is a war machine. So what Superman does is tear crap up. So you have to be Clark Kent sometimes. But because so many of us are called to this work, we bring Superman all over the place and he tears shit up. So finding things, passions, gifts that you can pour yourself into so it isn't all about the work. Frederick Buechner, a theologian, talks about vocation is the place where your greatest gifts, your deepest gladness meets the world's deepest need. That's vocation. That isn't about your job at PCC. It may be part of it, but how do you use your vocation elsewhere? Whether it's my podcast or this book I'm writing or speaking or consulting, because the University of Kentucky can barely deal with 20% of this. If I go in there with 100%, I ain't gonna be there long, right? And it's part of the reason why we've had an education resignation. You've heard great resignation. It's really an education resignation, not just K-12, K-20, led by Black women who, after a pandemic, said, I'm not dealing with this shit anymore. That harm, that trauma, that workplace, when I worked remote, I realized how much smoke was in my clothes and in my hair from that nightclub. I finally have cleansed. I ain't going back to that. So finding ways to build coalition. And when I say coalition building, I don't want you thinking about these grandiose things. I want you thinking about having coffee chats or sipping strokes on FaceTime, finding people who love you and you love on, who can say, Renee, you ain't crazy. Says, I hear you. Jenna, I know what you're going through. No, just have space, right? Coalition building. We as academic folks look back at the results of SNCC or the results of the Montgomery bus boycott. My wife and I were in Selma for the Jubilee, 51st, I think it was. And it's just a church, and they were just going for a walk. I mean, we look back because it was historical now, but it really was just people who met up at the church with a plan. So sometimes people who are not people of color hear coalition building and they think it's this grandiose, we're build a coalition and have a list and a spreadsheet and our contact list. How about we all just share community? How about we all just meet up on Zoom and drink a cup of coffee together and talk about our bullshit and shake our heads? That's coalition. And there are no bounds to it now because of a virtual world. I promise the hate people are building coalition. The love people need to take a lesson from that. So one of the pieces that I wanted to share with you all is your why. Rediscovering why you got into this work in the first place. So I want you to think about why you chose this work, or for many of us, why this work chose you. Put in the chat, think back to your first day in higher education, at PCC, whatever it is. Why? Not why do you do it now? Why did you do it? What brought you to it? What was the reason why you said yes? Put in the chat what that why was. Ooh, the power, making it, Sarah Hill, my sister, right? Shaking things up, learning deeply as possible for a long time. Love it, right? Being that table tip and foot washer, right? That can love on people, but can also fight the power. Ooh, the love of the content, right? Change making, curiosity, right? Those are the pieces that we all have to remind ourselves of. Do my best to help my students, right? A love, Sylvia, a love of chemistry and a love of teaching. So that loving the content. Peter just loves learning, right? Look at these things, y'all. Remind yourself of this shit. Don't just put it in the chat. Write it down. I'm sorry I said shit a bunch of times, but I'm a Lutheran, okay? Put it in, write it down. Remind yourself what got you here. What got you here? What got you here? So we can rediscover it all the time. So this idea that I was told by a former boss when I was hiring people who had casework, human service background, social workers, and all this stuff to work with me in TRIO, and then when I became a dean of students. And I had the VP tell me, Adam, we're not a social service agency. We can't help them all. We hire former bankers. Literally, this is what she said. I hire former bankers. I find if I hire people, so they want to help everybody too much. Bottom line, a global pandemic, racialized traumas, racialized uprisings, right, have taught us that PCC, the University of Kentucky, has more resources for all of us who work there and for our students who live there, literally or figuratively, than the communities or municipalities that we're in. Throw some of the resources that PCC has that are hard to get if you're not a member of the PCC community in the chat. What are some of the resources that PCC has that if you're not a member of the PCC community, it's harder to get at in the chat? Counseling is huge. Ooh, learning, yes. Paul, counseling, get a therapist in town, mental health, food. PCC, I'm sure, has food pantry, clothes, access to the things. Nicole, career services, help with our goals. Access to research. Oh my gosh, right? It doesn't matter. There's a reason why people are banning books, because knowledge is effing power, right? Legal resources. Yes, all of those things. Ooh, we have a pool. I love y'all. That's great. So it is all of us to care for each other. This isn't just a principle of Kwanzaa, Ujima. It is our collective work and responsibility to serve more, to care more, but more importantly, to rest more. A colleague of mine told me, y'all, to be 50 something and to have colleagues who are like 20 tell you stuff that you're like, oh, you know, we put it on social media. I was today years old when I figured out. I was today years old when I figured out that rest doesn't mean sleeping all the time. As a Gen Xer, I think rest and I think sleep. And Taryn said to me, Adam, you know, you don't have to be sleeping to rest. I was today years old, y'all. So think about what I want you to put in the chat, total mix. How do you rest? How do you find rest? Put in the chat what you do to rest. Reading, Elizabeth, love it. Gardening, Miss Shelley. Play music. Oh, Amber's a crocheter. Meditations, hiking, wine. Okay, love it. Ocean, painting, gardening, bike riding. That rest is important, right? Oh, cleaning, watching birds and squirrels, listening to music, meditating, right? So those are some ideas that if you aren't resting that way, those may be ideas that you say, shoot, play. Best says play is rest, right? That is completely the opposite of the way I as a Gen Xer think. Like rest has to be sleeping. No, it's not. So there's this guy named Bernard Vogel who did research. So for all of our faculty members on our time today, who researched these birds. And what he did was he researched what I call the V. You know, when you see birds flying in a V. And in a 1 hour flight, what he found is that each bird would do a pair switch with its nearest neighbor 57 times. Now we're on the ground. We just see that there's a bird in front and the rest of them aren't, right? But these transitions are happening seamlessly with these different stints at the top. Some people had a longer time. Some birds had a longer time at the front of the V. And when you're in the front of the V, you're getting all the stuff hitting you in the head, right? So you are dealing with the pressure and the wind and the bugs and the stress, and your job is to make it easier and seamless for other people to be aerodynamic. But these birds had it figured out. The question is, in PCC, how do we find ways to seamlessly switch between who's at the front of the V? It can't always be the same person running over the hill fighting for justice, speaking out, being the advocate for students, faculty, staff. You got to tag other people in. And some people aren't vocal leaders, but they can prop up, right? They can support. Because those transitions are in us, just like they're in the birds. They're in us. But you don't have to be in a leadership role to lead. More importantly, you can't let certain people be the ones that are always in the front of the view. So one of the action steps that I want y'all to think about going forward is think about every day your impact. And so old school me, I have a journal. So I want everybody to get a journal. If you don't have a journal, get a journal. Put it in your office at your desk. And before you leave every single day, I want you to put the date and I want you to write your impact. Your impact on people, people's impact on you, the impact you made that day or people made on you. But not just the impact, why. I made this impact because I made an impact yesterday in the life of a student named Consolee. Because Consolee came to me and talked to me about things, and it was because I was present for her. And she talked to me about things that I don't know if she shared with anybody. And so in those hard times, I go back to those dates and walk through that impact book. And not just the impact I made, but why I made it. Because that gets us back to why we started this work in the first place, right? So that's my assignment for y'all educators, right? Is get yourself an impact book, okay? And start taking responsibility and accountability to every day before you leave the office, date an impact that you made or was made on you and why. And that is where you reflect in those times that you feel like they're just asking, it's just Cookie Monster. They just want more and more and more. And why am I doing this? And this is bullcrap and all the things. And you go back to and you say, in that time of rest with the music or the bike, you read, look at the impact and why I made it. Because that's what grounds us in our work. So there are these trees, these aspen trees, and I don't know if you all have heard about these trees, but what scientists have found is that these trees, called the pando, on the surface, it looks like a forest, right? Looks like separate trees. But underneath, these trees are all connected. They hold each other up. They nurture each other with roots. And literally, they are one organism. Largest organism in the world, I think. Y'all are scientists, so if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But you get the point. But you have to be intentional about getting roots to go deep and wide. You can't just dump a bucket, a 5-gallon bucket. You have to drip those roots so those roots get embedded into the soil. And we are those roots. So we have to intentionally get our roots deep and wide into each other. So when the storms come, I've got Elizabeth and I've got Jenna and I've got Annie and we can hold each other up and we can nurture each other through those roots. Because we are literally one organism, y'all, right? If we weren't getting close to glory, all this evil wouldn't be working so damn hard. So here's our final activity, and then we'll go to questions. And I'll kind of mutter through this a little bit. But here's what I want y'all to do as you think about connection. We're going to do 91 people. So we're going to do a 91-minute or a 91 people connection. Here's what I want you to do. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Think about your connection. Think about the 5 things you can see. What are the 4 things you can touch? The desk. I got a towel. I got a piece of paper. What are the 3 things you hear? How about the 2 things you smell? And what is the 1 thing you can taste? So I want you to take a deep breath, and I want you to think about, in this moment, how do you feel? How are you feeling right now, this moment, this second, whatever time it is? How do you feel? And what I want you to do is I want you to think about the song that best describes your feeling. Okay? What is that song that best describes your feeling? Then what everybody's going to do, sitting in front of their computers, is they're going to go to YouTube and grab the song, the link to YouTube to that song, and drop it in the chat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to DJ, and I'm going to try to play our playlist for this point in time to create some connection. So your song is yours. It doesn't matter what song it is. It's your feeling song, your vibe song, how you feel in this moment. Go to YouTube, grab the song, put it in the chat. I'm going to start with mine, and we'll go from there. Jenna, you hear my song?
My name is Ram.
See our message loud and clear. Looking back, we've touched on sorrowful days. Wow. Future past, they disappear.
Bless your heart, no, I love you for that. Honest and selfless. I don't know if this helps you, but good job. You're doing a good job, You're doing a good job, don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter.
But always hit the floor. I've spent a lifetime running, and I always get away. But with you, I'm feeling something that makes me wanna stay. I'm prepared for this. I never should to miss.
God knows that we all get tired. It's a long night when you do it on your own. And I hate how you talk to yourself. It's not weak if you need to be held. So cut off a little slack and roll all your cavalry back. My love, take care of yourself. Call your friends, send your ego away. Don't need to take it all so seriously. You don't get a medal for the last one away.
So we back in the club,
Rest your eyes and
bodies
close your
rocking
eyes.
from side to side, side to side. Thank God the week is done. I feel like a zombie gone back to life, back to life. Hands up, yeah, suddenly we all got our hands up. No control of my body. Ain't I seen you before? I think I remember those eyes. 'Cause baby tonight, the DJ is
संकट ना हरनारा
yeah, baby
करुणानो संवार નથી મારા પાપ ભર્યા છે એવા તારી ભૂલો કરવી સેવા મારી ભૂલો ના ભૂલનારા તારી કરુણાનો કાંઈ પાર નથી
I was calling your name. I would get so lost in my feelings, head in the clouds. I would get so caught up in believing something about, but you feel so good in my spirit. It's all over me now. No, I can't go back no more. Put your feelings down. Sun and the stars, night and the day. All of the while I was calling your name, calling your name, calling your name, calling your name, calling your name.
Many faces I've got so much time to kill. Just imagine people laughing. I know someday we will. And even if it's far away, get me through another day. Cover me in sunshine, shower me with good times. Tell me that the world's been spinning since the beginning, and everything will be alright. Cover me in sunshine. From a distance, all these mountains are just some tiny hills. Wildflowers.
Manju Fatima Faku Wasula. Famara Okie. Manju Deti Edeku Wasula Nuyalolo. Famara Okie. Manju Tuyati Etuyaku Wasula Tolompuate. Famara Okie. Manju Oi Kanakasi. Alifa Turelade Kanakasi. Manju Oi Kanakasi. Andere Madufa Kanakasi. Sifina Sayamani Fakasi Kumabase. Malembe, 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 mutombo, malembe, yo.
Yo no me como ese pecado, así sea del choco.
Qué rico.
Ese pecado envenenado, ese no lo como yo.
Oye, mucho ojo mi gente que quiere envenenarte la cabeza con pijama en la mesa, pero eso a mí no me estresa. Yo que tráfico de influencia de gente que sin decencia quiere verte decadencia, porque la envidia es mala. La gente sale con vena rara y problemas traen balas. La próxima vez te doy en la cara. Por darme tu pecado envenenado te llevo esa
Saca la
mala.
mano de mi bolsillo, no me vas a tumbar. Con ese cuento tan viejo no me vas a robar. A otro perro con ese hueso. Te rompo la boca y allí no ponen yeso. Dice que produce más que me gusta. Está viendo que lo que te doy es puro sabor. Si un día ella
Times, these walls seem to cave in on me when I look in your eyes. I feel alive. Some days we say words that don't mean
Thank you all so much for sharing how you feel, your songs, your playlist. I wish, like someone said, I wish we could do this all day. There's a QR code to get in contact with me. And Annie, I'm sure we have a little time for some questions, yes?
Yes, we can go ahead and ask questions. I don't see any questions in the chat. And so if there are any questions, I think you could unmute or put it in the chat, and we have Adam answer that. Thank you so much for this, Adam. This is what we needed to just get us started.
Oh,
Thank
y'all got me vibing. I mean, the music was, I wish we could have hit them all because I could have been here all day, but I figured Beyonce is always good to end with. So any questions that y'all have, throw them in the chat or take yourself off mute. Any comments, statements? Adam, you're full of it. That's cool too. Happy to answer those. It's a good one, Sam. Finding rest in the work is so hard, right? For me, it really centers on knowing why I'm there. The idea of this impact journal, essentially, in this why impact journal, a therapist, multiple therapists, right, is what I have. But to just remind myself why, you know, I've been, and I'm sure Annie read a really crazy long bio, right? That, oh, I've been at this school and this school and this school. And I always tell people, but I didn't leave on good terms. Otherwise, I'd still be there. You can't bring all the table tip and foot washing that I've done. And I've never worked in higher ed in a job that someone had before me. So it was always there to fix something. But one thing we know about us is we don't want people to fix us. I'm gonna fix that other stuff, right? Don't fix me. I thought he was there to change this. And then you also add this multiracial Black guy who's there to do fixing. Oh, no. So a friend of mine, when we were talking, having a coalition building session, essentially, he said, well, what do you want? I said, it'd be nice to have some effing peace. Can I have some peace without constantly being under attack and constantly all the things in work? And he said, well, what are you willing to give up to have peace? I said, what do you mean? Why would I have to give anything up? Right? That's just who we are as humans. And he said, well, would you be willing to lose your edge for peace? And I said, if my edge means the calling, that higher power, God, Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah, whatever, the universe has put on my life, we all put in a why, and that gets to our call. We were called to this, y'all. By something, someone, he, she, they, them, the universe called us to this work, right? And so he said, are you willing to lose your edge or your call? And I said, hell no. And he said, so why do you think you are better than everyone that you know or you've heard of historically or in your faith walk or in anything that's called? We just celebrated Dr. King Day. The brother died when he was 39. I'm not going to ask, but there's a bunch of people on here older than 39. That's what happens when you're called. So the question, and I think Sam, I didn't answer it very well, but I remind myself of the freaking call and that this is what comes with it. And I am not willing to lose the call for anything. And then resting in the spaces of the impact and why I made them, and being in this mindset of gratitude, that I am grateful that I've been put in the place and I've been able to bear witness. Some of the things, y'all, that we've seen with these people's lives that we've impacted, higher powers impacted through us, whatever you want to think, it is freaking amazing. It's humbling. Most people only make impact on their immediate family. We have made impact on thousands. It's one of the reasons this whole student loan forgiveness thing is so crazy, because we've all served. the nation, greater than anybody in any war. And so resting in that, and that being enough, and then also recognizing that because you've made that impact, it's going to come with some scorn from people. See, all the impactful organizations in Portland that are doing the work of the people aren't recognized by the power. Because if you're working for the people, your job is to push against power, right? Oh, Andrew, from my theology background, what I think for the rest of me. Oh, Andrew, that's hard, man. That's hard. I think there's risks in anything when humans, especially in just my theological beliefs, that we're not good. That's what makes grace so special, right? And I think anything that is intended for good, we screw it up, right? So I think there's major risks that anything that we can use with power and glory and good and benefit for people, right? But those risks stand in our greed and our selfishness and our desire at more and more and more, because I am, every day I'm Cookie Monster in my own ways. It isn't good enough. I want more money. I mean, my first paycheck in the work, I mean, AmeriCorps, right? So not counting my AmeriCorps, but my first check when I was director of a nonprofit was $711. I still remember, 2 weeks pay. And I thought I was rich because my mom made $350 a week. And I make a lot more money than that now, and it's never enough. So reminding myself and checking myself about that. And I think those are the risks with everything and anything. Sometimes it's easier to be in a place like Portland. Yeah. I appreciate that, Blake. Sometimes I think there's coalitions everywhere, and we're getting to a place in our world and in our nation. It's not going to be about safe states, reds and blues and purples. It's going to be about safe counties and cities. Because I'm from Minneapolis, which is more progressive than Portland, let's just say. You saw what we did when they killed our brother George, right? But the challenge is Minnesota, the state, might as well be Iowa or North Dakota. The Twin Cities is like Portland, right? So it's very different. And so I live in Lexington, so in Lexington, it might as well be Portland in many, many ways, just more horses and bourbon. But outside of that, yeah, we're governed by a state that's crazy, but our municipality ain't playing that. So it's those pieces that I think are important. And Blake, what you're leaning on that I think is so important is the opportunity for you and I to build coalition no matter where we are. Because no matter where we are, when 2020 hit and the 2016 election hit, we all felt like, what the hell is going on? Like, I lived in Knoxville, Tennessee at the time, and I thought it was the most hate-ridden place I have ever been. And I try to give Knoxville a break because even my people in LA thought LA was that way, right? And so the key is this coalition, this connection. That's why I put the QR code there, to make sure that you all connect with me, because I don't want this to be, I don't think this is an accident. I don't want this to be a one-time thing. My job, biggest gift in my life now, is connecting people who are similar. If my homegirl, Sharice Frainer, is on here from PCC, I connected her with her at the NCORE conference. That's my sister. We have done webinars together. We have done podcasts together. We have been in several conferences. I know her family and her children, all of the things, and it all happened with one connection at a conference. And then that has become my person. And so when Annie called me and said, hey, let's talk about PCC, I said, you know my girl, Sharice? That is literally the kind of connections and relationship build we have. Again, I wanted to share with y'all, this speaking engagement is through Speak Out, the nation's only nonprofit social justice speaking bureau that I'm honored to be a member of. These are my web links. We have a podcast that we run. If you all want to get in touch with me, I am so honored to be sharing time and space with y'all. Again, appreciation to Annie and the entire Sam and the entire group with the Center for Teaching and Learning Excellence, and all you all for all you do. If you don't feel seen, heard, valued by anybody else, just know I see you. And I appreciate you for everything you are doing, not just in Portland, but you're doing for our nation. Bottom line, it's enough. It's enough. Thank you all so much. God bless.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you for Adam for reminding us that in the midst of pressures, how we can take care of ourselves and build community by recognizing the various assets around us. Thank you for reminding us to put on our mask and take care of ourselves. Thank you for also highlighting us to recognize and record our impact of all the good work we are doing and engaged in. So thank you so much for your message. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day. I'm going to stop the recording.